Hey guys, today is January the 20th and I am getting ready to pot up my ranunculus so that I can get them pre-sprouted for planting out probably in March. Very early March, maybe even mid-February. So I have saved all of my ranunculus corms year to year, and at this point I think I have somewhere around 800. Now, some variety of ranunculus you're not allowed to save year to year. I think those are going to be the Romance series ranunculus. There are others, I'm not sure exactly on the varieties that those are. You're going to have to do your own research, and when you purchase, they should tell you you can't save these corms. But the ones I have, you can save. Mine are a pretty old variety. So this one right here is called Chamalo. And this is all dirt that you're seeing here, and these are all like roots from last year. So anyway, this is the top up here, this is the bottom, and I don't know if you can see that corm right there. Kind of looks like a octopus. Anyway, so I did soak these for 2 hours in water. I don't use a bubbler. I've heard that you should have a bubbler because these are prone to molding, and the bubbler just keeps them from going bad, I guess. But I did not do that. I just set them in a bowl with water and let them sit for 2 hours. So because we live in an area where the spring is short, I have to plant out when it's still cold outside. So that means I either have to cover them in some way or plant them in a tunnel. I don't have a tunnel, so I'm gonna have to cover those. And my plan at this point is to use, we had some hoops that we bent a couple years ago, and I'm just gonna put those over these, and I'm gonna put these probably in crates. So I'm just gonna use those old tulip bulb crates that I got from ordering tulips, and I'm gonna plant these 3x4 into those. And then I'm gonna use those old hoops and some agribon that we have left over, and I'm gonna cover those and just pray that it works out. So ranunculus are a 90-day crop, meaning that from the time you plant them to the time they flower should be about 90 days. That puts us at about mid-April right now, and that's good because as soon as May starts, it's going to be way too hot for these to grow. So I'm hoping to get a good 2 weeks out of these ranunculus. So I have already soaked all of this variety. Next, I'm going to use the bottom trays that I got from I got these from Bootstrap Farmer. And I'm just gonna place these corms in here really tightly, close together. And then I'm gonna put this garden soil you see back here. This is just what I had laying around. Put that over the top. And in about two to 3 weeks, I should see some green growth starting up through the soil. So what that does is that tells me which of these corms are viable, which I can plant out. And at that point, once they've greened up a little bit, you just separate the corms and you plant them wherever it is you're going to have them for the rest of their season. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, and I'll show you what it looks like. Okay, so here are all the corms in this tray, and I'm not going to bother with setting each one up individually. I'm just going to spread them out as much as I can. This variety is called Chamalo, and it makes a fairly small corm. So I'm going to talk a little bit about my view on ranunculus size. I know that the trend for all things really is to go bigger and more beautiful, right? So ranunculus are getting bigger heads, scabiosa are getting bigger heads. Anyway, I happen to think that ranunculus should stay small because then you don't have the problem of their weight snapping the stem. You know, they snap the heads off when they get too heavy. So Chamalo is a good variety because it's big enough that it's beautiful, but it doesn't snap the stem. The weight of that bloom gets too big, and then it can't sustain itself. So anyway, that's my perspective. That is why florists have to wire their stems all the time, is because those heads are just way too big. So next, I'm just gonna put a layer of that garden soil right on top. So I am just covering these. The soil is not wet, it's dry. And I'm gonna wait for that green to come up, and then I will probably start watering it consistently until I can plant it outside. Okay, and that's that for ranunculus today. We're not gonna do any more with those. I'm gonna set these on the light system behind me, but I'm not gonna turn the lights on. They won't need light until they've started coming up out of the soil. So it should probably take, like I said, 2 to 3 weeks for these to start showing growth. The important thing to remember is that you need to have a plan for them when they're ready to go outside. Don't start unless you've got a plan for where they're going, because they don't like to be indoors for too long. And make sure your plan includes that they're going to quit blooming as soon as your daily temperatures get above 70. So you've got to kind of time it pretty perfectly. So good luck with your ranunculus. I hope this video helps. Here is the final setup with those ranunculus in these bottom trays here. I have them under lights, but the lights are not on. So these are just going to sit here for 2 or 3 weeks until they pre-sprout. And then I'm going to plant them out under a tunnel. And each one of these has a label on it, so I don't forget which is which, and I'll tell you which ones I'm growing. This is Chamalo, Golden Mix, Bonbon, Marshmallow, and on the top I have Tealicoat, Rose, and Salmon. I have 200 of each of those, so each of these trays holds about 100 ranunculus.